Good evening. I was able to get a little bit of rest earlier. Got some NyQuil or Dayquil in me too, cause I think after my walk day before yesterday, I caught a cold or whatever. But whatever, that's just life. But no, I made a few other phone calls today, outside of what I was dealing with, and all that stuff. And tomorrow I've got to go into town because I've got to get myself some sort of fucking help. Like, I can only do so much by myself, and I recognize I'm losing my shit. Like, if Pete, it feels like that the forward sentence that I tend to say about a lot of this stuff is if you only knew. Because there was just so much shit. And it wasn't just all me. And it's like, yeah, I completely lost my shit from this. I lost my mind from all this, and especially to realize that my reality was, yeah, only to find out so no, I'm definitely going into town tomorrow. I'm gonna go, I have to go fill out whatever it is that the doctor places do or whatever to be able to get an appointment, and then try and figure out insurance somehow, or how I can pay for this, because I'm at a loss. I really had my head fucked with really, really badly. And it wasn't just by that one person. It was by a lot of people. And yes, it did include my kids. It made this shit really fucking hurt. As much as they are angry at me for the things I have said, I don't blame them. I actually don't blame them. And I understand why. I was being a dick, that's for sure. She's just come to the point that people have held over my head the things I did as a teenager. The stupid things that I did. Or my downfalls because I was born with things that I can't control. And then for people to use that as kind of a judgment or feel shame that they're even with me or around me because I have it and they work with people like that. That's how I feel about... That's how I've been feeling around them. Or how I was feeling around them. Like I was just... Yeah, they were intentionally trying to make me out like I was just somebody they were helping, when really they weren't helping anybody. They were actually fucking with my head really, really badly. I don't think people understand that. And I can't explain it unless people are actually in that position themselves. It's been a constant roller coaster. Like, your head gets fucked with really bad in this process. I mean... Mine got just shredded over the last few years. Anybody who knew me before this knew who I was, knew I was never like this before. Like, I lost my shit through this whole thing. And it was a long fucking process that you can only recognize till basically you reach the end and you look back and go, holy fuck, because it's never the same with any one person who goes through similar shit. They might be going through the same types of abuses, stuff like that, but the experiences, the scenarios, everything is different. And I can tell you right now, I would rather be friends with somebody who's going to be genuine with me, even if they're a bit of an asshole and blunt, than somebody who's going to constantly be, like, acting fragile, sweet, and all that stuff on a constant. Because you know that's fake. I'd rather somebody be real with me. You know, that was the one thing I definitely love about, well, I miss about my brother, And since he's passed, and because he's one of those people that kind of help keep me in check a little. My brother Nate does the same thing. He just, yeah. Some of this stuff I try to have him watch some of my vids before I make them public at times, because I'm not sure if what I'm saying is okay. I recognize that when you address your kids as children, you address them as children when they are children. When they become adults, you address them as adults. And one of the things that comes down to, in my mind, is, you're a parent before friend, which means not just your responsibilities is a parent first, and then you become a friend in the, on the side to them. That also applies in the sense of the time of the relationship that you have with your kids. When your kids are too young to be able to work, do all that stuff for themselves, they might get to a point where they can do chores, and then they start doing small jobs for neighbors and stuff like that around the neighborhood to make money. Then they move up into regular jobs. When they start getting to that age where they're able to go and say go work even at a McDonald's, a gas station, or an intern at Intel, that's when your process of being a parent is there. But when they start to become more independent, that's when you can start slacking off as the parent and become more of the friend. Because at that point, they're becoming independent and all this shit. I recognize that this whole thing that you're a kid until you're 18 or 21, depending on who you are, exists these days. But to me, if you have the body of an adult, you have the responsibilities of an adult. In essence, you're an adult, even though you have certain limitations, the maturity levels, the life experiences, and all that stuff. When you get to about 15, 16 years old, you're a young adult. And you are to be treated like a young adult. And as you start to grow into a man or woman type thing, or a grown-ass adult, you're going to be treated as a grown-ass adult. I get why some people put me in check at times, and I understand that. Because, yes, I don't have a lot of real filters, and I don't have like when the people that were in my life that helped me be able to connect with other people and help me be able to communicate, actually be able to relax, and actually just kind of just be me, like my brother did. They were also the same people that kind of was like, hey dude, no. So it's like I haven't had that in years. When my brother passed away, it was only within maybe a year of that I lost everybody else. Everybody else just started ghosting. And it got pretty damn bad. Like, it really fucked me up. Between waking up in the hospital from that situation with when my ex-wife left, trying to it took me about 6-7 months just to get healthy again. And because I had a lot of issues and health-wise, it was, yeah. And yeah, it's because I ended up finding out I had tried killing myself. I ate an entire bottle of something. And that's what put me in that weird state. I can't remember what it is. I want to say it was a shit ton of basically ibuprofen, like a shit ton of it. And yeah, it was at a time I was taking. This is why I stopped taking prescriptions, because I was prescribed Wellbutrin as an alternative to that quit smoking drug. Because I was trying to quit smoking for my wife. That's why I had trouble quit smoking. It put a fear in me. Like, is this going to happen again? And I know I need to quit smoking. Like, that whole scenario. Obviously, I need to still heal from that, but it's not so much of the whether or not she left. It was that experience specifically. I'm not even angry with her, actually, anymore. That's why I can talk about it. It doesn't actually really affect me in that sense. But that situation, that Wellbutrin shit, when you look at side effects, what's that do? It causes you to want to do that shit. And having that experience, what I went through that, what everybody else remembers, I don't remember any of that. it was just black to me. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. And only 2 moments, like a picture, I actually have memory of during that process. Only 2. After that, it wasn't until I woke up in a different hospital. So it was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I actually have no memory of those, 5, 6 days, whatever the fuck happened in between that time. So it took me about 5, 6 months there to have to recollect, like, what the fuck happened? Like, what happened? And I sort of just kind of, yeah, I had to take the word of other people. Like, that's realistically what it was. I had to listen to other people, what happened. And so, going from that to that same year having to file for divorce because my wife was already living with another man by the time I basically woke up. She was staying with her brother and them, but then between her and the other dude, and I'm trying not to bring that person up too much. I'm trying to be mindful of some of the stuff I'm saying because I don't like being a dick. I really don't. And it's like either I'm a dick, basically, or what is it? I'm trying to be at least considerate, I guess, or more mindful of it. And there's certain things I just don't want to bring up out of that respect. Just like other people, I try to avoid certain situations. Yet, as I was saying earlier, I might bring up things that people have done. It's not intended for an attack. It's for them to realize they have a dirty past too. And they can't be going around fucking making people beneath them because they have more money. Everybody has some sort of dirty past. It doesn't matter what family you're in. Hell, I can sit and tell you, and it's not intended to be attack at them, but as an example, just look to the Duggar family. People looked at that family, it's a perfect family, only to find out there was a lot of dirty shit going on. Judge by what you see and not by what's actually going on type thing. But lost myself a little bit in that offside ramble. But no, I after starting to have to file for divorce and all that stuff, it was within a year. My sister Heather passed away. And then shortly after my brother passed away, it was just like maybe a month or 2 apart. All of this shit I still haven't had a chance to deal with because I had to put it all off because I understood that I don't know what to call it because I don't even know if the whole relationship was real now. My oldest son's mom. I was having to deal with her just on the constant, and it wasn't constant, but it was on a regular, the shit about her ex-husband on it, and I understood at the time she was dealing with her divorce. And then, as time went on, this carried on for like a few years. And it's like, I'm expected to just get over things that, like, she did overnight. I haven't had a chance to really deal with a lot of things I had to deal with. So my mind was already deteriorating from that stress right there, just between the hospital situation, my wife just basically vanishing. One night I'm going to sleep, she's there. The next day I'm waking up, and here's a nurse at the door. Your wife's here. And it's like, what the hell's going on? And here comes another woman walking in. I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck are you doing here? You're not my wife. Like, where's my wife? That was my reality. That is exactly what happened to me. That was my experience of that. And it's always fucked with me. And then like I said, it was shortly after that. It was like everybody else just started ghosting. My kids started hating me. Everything, like everything, started falling apart right there. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? That's why I always said I feel like I woke up in hell, and I can't figure out what I did wrong or what was going on. What happened before all that? It was nice to have that time period there, because my older son's mom did help me be able to cope with a lot of the pain that was going on then from that whole scenario. And so it took quite a while. My health got really bad, all that stuff. That's why I started to get into martial arts, all that fun stuff. But within a couple years, because I just suck at school. I do alright in certain class settings and all, but yeah, and that's why I don't mesh well also with, and it's, again, not intended to be attacked. I know I don't fit in with the conservative community. I don't even fit in with the liberal community, because there's points of views from both sides that I actually genuinely agree with and all that, and there's other things where it's like, no. It's just both sides I recognize are two sides of the same coin. They each treat people like absolute shit, and that's why over time I even start recognizing my own bullshit. That whole, yeah, whole Trump era thing, to how put it. So even now, I'm not sure if, and it's actually not even a thing against him or anything like that. I'm just not sure I want to vote, at this point, because it's, we all know this. It's a different door leading to the same toilet every fucking time. And yeah, things did get better under him because he was a fluke. It's just what didn't get better was the social aspect of our country, and that I actually don't blame him. I blame the media and the entire body of the actual government, because he was never a governor, senator, anything like that. He went from being a businessman to a president. So he wasn't one of them. So seeing that entire body of the government, the media, and then just all that shit that was fed, that's where I put the blame at. Do I think things have gotten better now, or I'm not paying attention to it anymore. I know things have financially gotten harder. Gas is definitely, I'm not sure how to express it on that shit, because it's always about gas these days, it seems like. But that's how it's been for a long time, at least since, I hate that day, 9/11 and all that stuff, and it's not just over that date or what happened that day. Well, yeah. But I really didn't have anybody, and the only person I had that kind of helped me through a lot of that stuff after my brother and all that stuff, my sister passed away, everybody just flat out vanishing, my kids, just being kids or being teenagers, rebellious, defiant, shit like that. So I didn't really hold much to that until they became actual adults. That's why they don't like the fact that I got a little more upset than I normally would when it came to when they were teenagers. They're teenagers. I don't expect anybody to expect any less of me as to what I would expect of them. And so I try to keep to that. And there are times there where it's like, if I'm not seeing that proper exchange there or anything like that, I'm not going to put that effort into you if I'm not seeing that reciprocation. I'm not going to put effort into certain things if really I'm the only one putting all the effort into it. It's like, if there's certain things that requires teamwork, and you're the one fucking being stuck doing it by yourself, they can't really kind of get angry about why you start getting upset. And to me, family it's a family unit, and it shouldn't be about everybody. Hey, let's pretty much find one family member we don't like and just fucking target the shit out of them. No, I went through fucking a lot of hell over the last several years. Because after my brother and them passed away, from there it was like maybe, at that point on, it was maybe a year or two, things were going good. But then as soon as my older son's mom got out of school, all this stuff, that's when I started noticing some strange shit when it came to her coworkers. But I never even... I brought it up once, that first time around, with a certain person. I know his name. I now remember his name. Not just now, but I remember his name. And the way she responded to him when he just suddenly up and left and all that stuff. I think I think that was the first time she actually did something. I didn't start really realizing until more recently that she treated her places of employment as kind of a dating service and not just online stuff. And it's not intended to be a put down. I just, looking back and seeing how everything was, it wasn't about just finding a friend. It was about finding that extra along the way. That's how long I've been strung along, and that was only about 2 years into our relationship. I had to walk away after 12 years. It took me a year to get to a point where it's like, I knew that she was when she was basically going to go and pull the discard again to go run back right to the other person. That's how she was doing it. She's juggling us. Stay with me for 3 to 6 months. Just go back to them for a few days a week, whatever. Or other times it might be a month. She's juggling the shit out of me. And I had to go through that quite a bit. That wasn't until the house. Until we got the house, because that opportunity became available at that point. It became really easy to have me drained, where I was not financially capable of even getting a job, was stuck relying on them while they were gone 90% of the day. And then you got 30, 45 minutes with them on average each night, which is when you're sitting and having dinner before they're just asleep and gone. And during that time, they're telling everybody what kind of worthless piece of shit you are because they left you broke at home, because you're paying for all that for them. And it's like, when I was able to keep working, I think it was about a year there. It was from... In 2017, I started letting know. I was starting to have really bad problems with my back. Like, I was having some really bad problems. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to keep going, and I don't want to be in that position where my kids are basically stuck pushing me in a wheelchair. If you haven't noticed, my kids aren't around. So it's like the option of basically, being stuck in a wheelchair and alone, or being able to at least walk and have some sort of independence. I'd like to keep my legs, and that's why I'm really careful about the things I do. If I have to do more, I do more, but that's when there's no option. That's why things got worse for me in my health-wise. But then after about a year, so it's like I really couldn't do it. I was actually having trouble just on the constant of taking down the displays in the shop and all that stuff, the hunkering down, doing all that shit, filling up drawers full of shit, having to carry that to a cart or that type of stuff. It was actually really doing a lot of damage to my back. I had already crushed my lower spine. And so it was just causing more and more problems with that. On top of it, the tumors in my body were getting worse. And so it just wasn't getting any better. And having to listen to someone constantly complain why I wasn't making more money to her mom on the phone. Just pretty much, it's only, yeah, so let's say the door back behind me, it looks further away, but that's maybe 10 feet, 12 feet. I would have to listen to it on a regular basis. And if I said anything, I had to listen to it, and it would get to a point over time they would do this shit, and then eventually I'd say something, and yes, it would turn into fucking arguments. And it just wouldn't stop. And that's why all this was going on. That's why my family felt the need to step in and at least help out in that sense of co-signing to get a home that was more affordable for us, so that basically I didn't have to listen to her talking shit to everybody about how lazy and how worthless I was because I wasn't making enough money. Yet at the same time gave us the ability to have some level of a stable home, be able to equalize our finances a little better, and I would have had at least the chance to do something. But no, I couldn't. I had to put all my energy being stuck at that house, trying to do repairs that a lot of things required two people. And I had nobody helping me. That's why I spent a lot of my time out on the property trying to get cleaned up, trying to update it, do that type of stuff. I did my best what I could in the house. The bathroom thing, she complained that it would never get done. Never get done. The irony that I was already prepping it to get it done the weekend that she decided to go on her doctor's appointment. This stuff has been nonstop. And it's never stopped. Over especially the last few years. Since getting that house was the biggest mistake, because it was like a kid in a candy store at that point for her. She knew that I was at least naive enough and loved her enough that I would trust her enough that she would actually have proper boundaries with friends and other people, would actually be loyal and faithful to the relationship regardless of, like, she was gone all the time or not. I had to trust that. And I did, even when at times I had that gut feeling, no, this isn't right, there's something wrong. I had to deal with it until she finally admitted it. And that's when everything just fell apart. Just like it made it worse. It's been non-stop for me. And it's been in the process of about 12, 13 years. Yeah, about 13 years or so. That it's basically been non-stop. I only had like maybe a short break there from things after I kind of was after I was kind of had been able to start coping with my brother and them passing away. My brother and my sister, they were just really, really close friends. My brother Jess, I literally grew up with him knowing him as just as long as I know my brother Nate. And then my sister Heather, and she was my sister. So I never really had the opportunity to actually really get a break from the shit because there was just always something going on. I mean, shortly after the Cliff situation, it turned into a Tia situation, a Phil situation. It was one after another. It just did not stop. And I never really got to get a break from it all, so I've had to just kind of deal with everything the best I could. And I remember people at my job at Wild West, when I was working there, at the same time I was working at Gnome Grown. I was holding down two jobs there for a while there. I remember my coworkers, because they knew that there was a lot. I didn't go talking shit at work type thing. But they noticed that I was dealing with a lot of stress at home type thing with everything. They knew that I was having some struggles and all that. But they're like, why don't you just leave the situation? It seems toxic. And I was like, and I looked at them, I just can't. It's like they don't understand. I don't know how to explain any of this to anybody. Like, I genuinely don't know how to explain, like, what the situation was like. I woke up from a hospital having my reality completely flipped, only to fucking basically wake up one day to have my reality flipped again by my other child's mom. And it never stopped. And it's like, it's wrecked me pretty good. It's like as soon as I things start getting together, start getting to get better, always something happens. And I know it's because people like to watch this. They take advantage of it. It's like some people are like, oh, you say too much. It's like, that's fine. You can get entertainment off of it and keep doing that. Eventually get to a point when you see me actually start being able to heal and start doing better and start moving on in life. I will start doing better in life. I won't be underneath your heels anymore. Now I'm going to leave a link down in the description to a doctor I like to follow here on YouTube. And what it's like when, what basically she gives a kind of rough rundown of why it's so difficult to walk away from a narcissistic relationship. And see, some of you, when you watch my vids and all that stuff and was running back and forth, twisting things that was said, I wanted things to work really bad. I didn't have any expectations of things to really get better because she was already adamant to keep doing what she was doing. I gave her, especially through this, almost a year to just be honest. All of it. When she told me the truth about different things, I didn't go react in the way that she went around telling everybody I would. She would not get she wouldn't, because I was getting the truth. I was upset. Yeah, anybody's going to get angry about it. No, I just left. That was my time to go. And through that, I realized that I was single for fucking basically the entire time of having that house. The entire time. I was single the whole fucking time. And it's like, you put all that faith and trust into somebody just for them to take advantage of it completely because you don't fit into their in crowd. The people they want to fit into. And it's like, I shouldn't have to be molded into a box and all that to make you feel comfortable around your friends or your family. And I think some people don't know the difference between love and lust. If all you're chasing after is money and looks, then that's lust. If you really want a genuine human being, why don't you try fucking actually loving someone for once and knock off the low self-esteem bullshit and stop the cheating, stop the infidelities, all that shit. So I saw a post earlier that someone made online. It didn't trigger me or anything, but it just showed me how disappointed I was. And, it just kind of made me disappointed in just people in general. You see this post where they're like, oh, monogamy's not real, it doesn't exist, that type of thing. And I gotta tell you, that's why it's not real. That's why it doesn't happen. It's just like, that's why, when certain situations happen, if you keep, like with your daughters, if you keep telling your daughters, oh, nobody's going to believe you if, like this type of shit, and they're not being told just by their parents. They're being told by friends, they're being told by media, they're being told by everybody, oh, nobody's going to believe you if you say something, and that's what they hear, so as a child, so when they get older after something happens, they're afraid to say something because they think nobody's going to believe them. The same shit with boys. The difference is, that's a fact. That one's a fact because it's automatically assumed that guys just enjoy being abused. Or guys can just take it for long periods of time. That somehow physical strength, just somehow replaces that mental and emotional strength. They're all different things. They're all very different things. Your spiritual strength, your mental strength, your emotional strength, your physical strength, they're all different. They're all separate things. And so when I'm seeing that, I was like, this does kind of depress me a little bit because I look at it like this, that humans have this, strange combination of a mind, body, and soul. And in combination and together, it creates a very, how do you put it? It gives you a very strong ability to create or destroy. That combination allows you to be able to create and destroy on almost any level. And most people, when they think of it, they're going, "Oh, it's all physical." Whether it's like, whether you're creating a toaster oven type thing that you can cook a potato on top on, or you can create a car, that type. It's everything. What we create in this world, is not limited to material and physical things. There's other forms of ways that we create and destroy too. I mean, you can go create a car and then go drive it into a tree. You just created it and then you destroyed it. Humans have that ability. They have that ability to do that at all levels. They're the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, all of it. It's like people say, if you put your mind into it, you can get it done. Others will sit and tell you, well, if you just, keep doing what you're doing, you work hard at it, focus on what you want to do, you can make it happen. For some people, it doesn't happen because we just suck in a social sense, or, we just suck at being a people person. And so, what I kind of brought up, kind of thought, or not brought up, but what I've kind of think about it is, when I see that stuff, it's like, everybody is familiar with the whole boogeyman thing. Well, not everybody. I don't know what. Yeah. I don't know who knows what on this situation. I know most people or everybody, majority of people don't believe in the boogeyman. I don't either. The boogeyman is just an imaginary being. But there's a reason why we think that way. When you go back through human history, at one point the boogeyman was a very real being. It genuinely existed, and it's not something you just saw in the movies, which they didn't have movies, obviously. These things were very real. But over time, parents, adults, all that stuff started basically telling their kids, he's not real. And as time went by, each generation did this, they started creating this, like a mental barrier, this, like, a veil. Where they know, it's like they pushed it out of their view of reality. So the boogeyman became more or less a child's thing. And then as they become an adult, he's just it's just a kid thing. It's not real. And that's how that kind of became its thing. Because at one point, even adults believed in the boogeyman. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's plenty now that still do. Outside of, being martial arts fighters and stuff. But, because we started training our minds to believe that something wasn't real, it became not real in our reality. And since we keep continuing to tell ourselves, this isn't real, this isn't real, this isn't real, it's kind of strange that how when humans use the power of their mind, they can make something not exist anymore just by saying it's not real and doing this for a long period of time. Yet, when it comes to going, we can create this and we can do this, they're more apt and quick to do so on a material level because it's easy. And it's right there. It's right here in your hand. Little JoJo things. But we're so busy on the material things and creating the material things that we don't bother to even focus on saying and telling ourselves and each other and our kids that, you know what, true love really does exist. True loyalty, true faithfulness, a wife or husband, a partner, a significant other, one that genuinely loves you and wants to be with only you and understands the limitations of friendships, the limitations and the boundaries of families, while understanding that when two people do have that partnership like that marriage, those families become a bigger family. It just becomes a giant family. And see, and teaching, is the idea of teaching your kids that this doesn't exist. that monogamy is not real, all this shit, when you keep passing that on, and then you wonder why your kids grow up to be, hurt all the time by somebody, think about those other parents who said the same thing to their kids. Think about that for once. And so what they're doing is they're teaching them to just rely on lust, is what you're doing. You're teaching your kids to become more apt towards lusting for physical material things versus genuinely loving another human being. And we've taught this way of thinking down to people for so long that it's a no wonder divorce rates are just the way they are. It's a no wonder why so many people don't have a problem with the idea of taking the life of a child before that child has a choice of its own. We want to call it a mistake. That child isn't a mistake. The action you made was a mistake, but the product of that is a result of that mistake. Does that mean that the result is bad? No. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of things in life that happen to actually be really good, like genuinely good, not just feel good, was things that, like, say, like, various, well, whether they're positive or not at this point right now, it's a questionable subject, but when it comes to certain types of medications or whatever that genuinely actually help certain illnesses, you would have never had those types of situations without, in a lot of ways, a controlled accident. You wouldn't have it because you're testing everything and just seeing what happens. And so, if you're out just constantly filling about like it's a drug, like you're creating some new drug, then already I can tell you right there, it doesn't sound right. It just doesn't sound good or fun. But the idea that good things can happen during that process, and when it does happen, that doesn't mean going, okay, well, this is good. Can I do better? If you want better and you're already, in that situation, you're saying, this is what I want. It's probably a good time to go, okay, I'm going to put the effort into this so that way we both are able to reach our life goals. Can't just turn it off. But we're both able to reach our life goals, and we did it at the support of each other. We didn't just do it on our own. We didn't just go, hey, it's a you and I type thing. It's supposed to be an us, a we. Our. And when the only time our is even viable and some people subject to a relationship only pertains to material things, that's, yeah. That shows you enough. But that's why I say I think people need to be careful about what they say to their kids about whether or not something's real or not. We have no problems telling them that, oh, you can do whatever you want as a job and make a bunch of money. We put their mind more focused on the material aspect of the world. We don't really help exercise them on the aspect of the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspect of things. We're so focused on the physical, what we can see and touch, that we abuse the things that we don't see in each other. And so teaching your kids that, oh, this isn't going to happen, or that's not going to happen, or that's not going to happen. That's not really, you can't question why things start going bad then eventually when they become adults. I mean, being realistic is one thing. If you do this isn't going to happen. If you keep doing that, this isn't going to happen. That type of thing. That's called being realistic. If you keep being a prick, even like in my situation, if I keep being a prick, things aren't necessarily going to get better for me. I understand I have to start loosening up. I realized here recently, like when I had someone go to talk to me, I kind of snipped with them a little bit because I've been on severe edge with all this. I knew that after hearing that truth that I did not, it was time for me to go. And it has, I'm still processing that shit, and it's still really fucking me up. The whole thing is because that one piece of truth was enough to tell me that I just spent at least the third of a third of the time that I spent into a relationship actually being single, not even fucking knowing it. In my mind, I would have already been past this shit 3-4 years ago at least, and have already been able to move on. I would have been able to start getting my life back together. I could have actually started doing more. But instead, no. So this is why I tell people when you tell your kids, whether certain things are possible, not possible, you should think about what it is that you're telling them. Because if you're telling them that a monogamous relationship can't exist or doesn't exist, blah blah, you've already set them up to fail in their relationships in the future, or to have someone fail them in the future and expect it. That's why I say humans have a very powerful, set of tools, which is their mind, body, and their soul. They are able to create or destroy, and it's more than just on the physical and material things. Thanks for watching. I want to eat my JoJo's. And again, yeah, I wasn't trying to go into this shit. I was just gonna kind of just let you guys know that I'm trying to get my shit together, because I realized this stuff really messed my head up. And yeah, tomorrow I get to go up and hopefully try and start getting the process going so I can actually go see a damn doctor, however it works. I don't care if it's, yeah, I need to get help. I can only do so much by myself. Thank you for watching.